Hi guys, it's Andy from Man City Fan TV. Well, this video, really, I'm so bored of waiting for these transfers to come along, and I'm sure you are as well. Get asked every single day, so when's this going to happen, who's coming in, etc. And we don't know. We're going to have to wait. We're at the point of now where we're sort of waiting to see what happens and who potentially is going to come into the team. So what I thought I'd do for this video is I thought I'll have a look at the different potential teams, lineups that we might have for next season. So if we put this first graphic up on the screen, what we're going to talk about now is we're going to talk about last season's sort of mainstays in the team. So as you can see here, we've got Ederson, we had Stones and Laporte. Zinchenko played the majority of the season at left back, with Ben Mendy only getting a few games before his injury. Kyle Walker was pretty much the number one right back. Fernandinho in that holding role for the majority of the season, with the likes of Bernardo, and then whether it be Kevin De Bruyne when he was fit, or David Silva. Sometimes Bernardo switched out on the right wing. Sterling moved over to the left, and Sane, he still played a number of games last season, and Aguero up front. So looking at that, maybe you could switch a few things around. You might look at it and think, maybe Bernardo Silva could be on the right and Sterling over to the left, considering sort of the performances of those players last year. But they were sort of like the mainstays of last season. Next, what I'd like to do is I'd like to look at how the team could set up and what the team could potentially look like for this coming season, the 2019-20 season. Now, I've only taken sort of maybe 3 of the big name signings that we've been linked with quite heavily, and where I honestly think if we're going to sign any of these players, it's going to be mainly these 3. So have a look at this particular graphic. So as you can see, this time we've got Ederson in net. Laporte keeps his position. This time it's either Stones, or if we get Maguire for the right price, Maguire could play with Laporte. On the right side of the defence, in a 4-3-3 formation, we've got the option now of Walker or Cancelo on the right hand side. And on the left hand side, now Mendy's fit and hopefully fit and firing for next season. We've got the option now of Mendy or Zinchenko, and I would suggest if Mendy is fully fit, Mendy starts on the left-hand side. Now, in that holding role, we've got now Fernandinho, and if we do sign Rodri, then we've got the options there to rotate those two. I've kept sort of Bernardo in an attacking sort of midfield berth on the right-hand side, and we've still got the Kevin De Bruyne and David Silva options on that side. This time I've put Sterling on the right. If Sane stays, and that's a big if Sane stays and he gets anywhere near his form of the previous season, this time Sane starts on the left hand side, Sterling on the right, and Sergio Aguero up front. So I would suggest if it's just the 3 signings that we do get this season, and I'm only guessing, we don't know, we'll wait and see, they are the options going forward into the 2019-2020 season. Okay, what I've done this time is I've just switched around a few players and just looking at what potential options we do have as cover, etc., all depending on who actually goes and who stays. So if you look at this particular graphic, here you can see Ederson, obviously number 1. But this time, instead of Stones, and let's say Maguire doesn't come, we know we can drop Fernandinho back to cover for the likes of John Stones. This time, I've put in Cancelo at right back and dropped Walker. And I've dropped Zinchenko and put Mendy in at left back. Rodri, if he signs, can be the holding pivot in the middle there. And I've kept Bernardo in that sort of attacking role in midfield. And on this time, I've dropped David Silva and put Kevin De Bruyne in. We don't know what's happening with Sane. So let's imagine if Sane does go and we don't, buy a like for like, then this time Mahrez comes in on the right-hand side, Sterling on the left, and Aguero up front as a number 1 starter. But don't forget, Mahrez, we keep saying it, I think Mahrez might be better in that inside role. So maybe we swap Bernardo back out on the right-hand side and we bring Mahrez further inside potentially. So that's another alternative. Now, the next thing is, what about cup games? Let's have a look, and just goes to show you how powerful and deep our squad can be. So this time I've looked at it, and I'm not saying this is the team that Pep might pick in cup competitions, but just take a look at how in-depth our squad is and take a look at this particular graphic. So let's have a look if we now try and replace many of the players in the team. This time I've put Bravo in net. This time I've put Garcia and Fernandinho as our centre-backs. Walker comes back in at right-back. Angelino, if it's all sorted, comes in at our left-back, and he does stay. This time I've moved John Stones, give him a bit of an opportunity, and put him in that central defensive midfield role, giving potentially Fernandinho a rest from that position, or Rodri a rest from that position. This time I brought Phil Foden in to play where Bernardo potentially could play, and I've actually given Zinchenko license to get back into that midfield role on the left-hand side. If we don't sell Sane could play on the left. Mahrez on the right. We can give Sterling a rest this time, and give also Aguero a rest, and bring Gabby Jesus in. So it just goes to show you the squad is immense. I mean, if you looked at that particular team there in the Premier League, you'd go, that's pretty decent. And that is dropping the majority of our first teamers. So in a cup competition, we could be seeing the likes of those types of players, Foden and Garcia playing, maybe some others. So our squad is absolutely immense. And what I've done this time is I've tried to just think a little bit outside the box. If Pep decided to not play a 4-3-3 like he normally does, I can't see him switching it around. But don't be surprised if we see the pre-season tour and we're looking at a team that Pep may be tinkering with and having a try out and see whether, maybe he tries to look at maybe adapting to a different formation in certain competitions. So this time I've gone for a 3-5-2. So if you see this graphic here, this time Ederson obviously in net, and what I've done here is I've brought back John Stones and Laporte, and I've dropped Fernandinho into sort of that central role of a 3. I've put Cancelo wide on the right-hand side, I've put Mendy wide on the left, and I've dropped Kevin De Bruyne into that central 5, basically, with David Silva and Bernardo Silva playing ahead of him. Aguero is the main point, but with Sterling playing slightly inside this time behind the likes of Aguero. You've got then Cancelo and Mendy bombing forward wide. Kevin De Bruyne can be almost like that holding player in the central attacking role, and we've got Bernardo Silva and David Silva in being able to play little tiny balls through behind the back of defenders for the likes of Cancelo and Mendy to get on the end of. Sterling can play a little bit behind Aguero. So you can see there when potentially we're up against teams where, they may pack the midfield, we may need to get round the outside of them, and he could potentially go for something like a 3-5-2, and he could use the likes of a Maguire in there or Walker in there if he wanted to. I just tried to select different players just to give you an example. So what are your thoughts on a 3-5-2? Will he go for it next season? I'm not so sure. I think he knows 4-3-3 works, but we do have the option of switching to a 3-5-2 if Pep thinks, look, they're going to pack the midfield, they're going to sit back, and space is going to be at a premium. Well, we can match him in midfield, and we can get the likes of Cancelo or even Walker with Mendy around the outside, drag them wide there in those areas, allowing the tricky players like Bernardo Silva and David Silva to get into pockets and spaces in front of the centre-backs, with Aguero bombing around that particular line. So, yeah, another option. And finally, I've picked my starting 11, and that is only on what I'm thinking who might come in, and if these players do come in, who is going to start over who. Because if we're going to spend 70 million quid on the likes of Rodri and another 45-50 million quid on Cancelo, if we were to spend 80-90 million pounds on Maguire, then I think Maguire would come into it. Whether Maguire will sign, I'm not too sure. So I've left Maguire out of the equation just for this. So Maguire could potentially be in for next season, but this is my potential starting lineup if we were to buy certainly the likes of Cancelo and Rodri, and considering the amount of money we paid, I think they will be almost guaranteed starters. So this is my starting 11. So as you can see, Ederson in net. I've stuck with John Stones and Laporte as centre-backs. Cancelo plays on the right-hand side with Mendy on the left-hand side. Rodri is in that holding role. Kevin De Bruyne slightly ahead on the right. David Silva slightly ahead on the left. And this time I put Bernardo Silva out on the wide right, where he's played quite a lot last season. Sterling on the left with Sergio Aguero up front. No room for Sane in my 11, I'm afraid. That's not to say that Sane might stay and he might have a wonderful pre-season and get back to somewhere like his best the previous season. So what are your thoughts? I just thought I'd put those out there just to see, give us your comments below the video. Who do you think realistically is coming into Manchester City, and what type of formation and lineup do you think he'll play? Do you think he'll possibly keep Walker if Cancelo comes in and just introduce Cancelo, bit by bit? Will Zinchenko start ahead of Mendy? Will Fernandinho start ahead of Rodri? I can't see him spending that amount of money and not playing them, let's face it. But give us your thoughts below the video. Anyway, this is Andy from Man City Fan TV. Hope you enjoyed that. Slightly different rather than just about transfer rumours. But don't forget, subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget, hit the bell icon. You'll be notified when all new videos then are posted on Man City Fan TV. And yeah, give us your starting lineup. Who do you think will start for the first game against West Ham away for the 2019-20 season? But take care, have a great day, and we'll see you soon.